Hey everybody, it's CanMRVHS. Welcome back to another episode of our Medieval Total War campaign as the French in Glorious Achievements mode. We're here looking at our possessions in the Holy Land, where I've just queued up a keep in Antioch. The goal here is ultimately to get a bit of our income coming back by getting a shipwright, getting a port, and then establishing some trade at some point. Now, obviously we won't be able to trade for a little while because our neighbors are enemies, but that we will be able to trade with these islands because these are Byzantine islands. And as you can see, the Byzantines are no longer our enemy. Now, looking at the footage from a couple of episodes ago, I think it was episode 3, where I first noticed that that I was actually at war with Byzantines. And the way that occurred was really quite puzzling to me at the time, and it's because when I moved my crusade into, I think, Bulgaria, which was their territory, I got a little message pop-up that looked exactly like all the other message pop-ups that alert you to the fact that a faction is allowing you to pass through their lands. I looked at it, I glanced at it, but I didn't read it thoroughly. And what that message actually said, which was clear to me when I reviewed the footage, was that the Byzantines did not allow me to pass through, and so they were going to contest my passage. Now, as it happens, they simply retreated every place I went through. My crusade was large enough that they didn't want to fight. So that's something to be aware of. The Byzantines are no longer necessarily open to let us go through, and it's not clear to me exactly how they make that determination. What allows an AI faction to calculate whether they will or will not allow you to pass with your crusade through their lands. So anyway, any sort of future crusades we have in mind will have to reckon with this, the idea that the Byzantines cannot be trusted to just let us pass through. And that is a little bit of a complication. Nevertheless, we are going to go ahead with a third crusade with the goal of getting Palestine. So that's going to be built up here in Ile-de-France, and we're going to march it overland just like all the others have been. And we're going to get it down, hopefully, to Palestine. Now, my initial thought was we don't need to get a lot of troops going with this crusade because we'll have a lot of troops here. If we end up having to fight the Byzantines, or if the Turks end up conquering a lot in the west of Anatolia, we may in fact need to fight some of these battles. And that means that our crusade may need some troops in it. So we may need to think about that. And that's all complicated by the fact that we're making very little money. So I think our current king is 55. His influence is at 4, and I think this is a reflection of that bug I mentioned in an earlier episode, whereby your king's influence, especially in Glorious Achievements mode, will tend to trend upward over time if you have accomplish some of your goals. In this case, I've got a few crusades under my belt, so I guess that's part of it. And I've observed this particularly with the French. There was one campaign I played just for myself where I, every turn, took a record of what I did and what happened to my king's influence. And it just seemed like it was automatically trucking upward. And that was, I think, because I was pursuing my glorious achievements, and they seemed to have some kind of influence on that. Contrast this with like a Viking invasion campaign where there's no glorious achievements mode, it's just conquest, and you're stuck with kings where 4 influence is, quite good actually. And if you just sit and don't do a lot of conquering, you're going to have a king with his 2 or 3 influence. So anyway, I think he's going to be trending upward again, but the point is, I guess, is that his son, Prince Jean, is going to be taking over relatively soon. He's right here, and he's not married, so we do need to do something about that. Or we need to... Maybe we don't, because, I mean, he's 21, probably we'll get a princess offer pretty soon from some other faction. Or possibly we can ask, or possibly we can just have him marry a princess of the court. Let's see, we're not allied with the Spanish. They might be a reasonable... not that we need to be allied with the faction, because if we ask them, that's not going to make an alliance. Okay, the Spanish are only at war with the Almohads, and they're not allied with any of our enemies, so they would make a good ally if they sent a princess to us. But let's find, you know, an emissary. Okay, one is over here in Armenia. No princesses nearby here, except mine. And then Navarre, right? Okay, he's right there. Yeah, I think I'll just wait. Let's just end the year. Because we've got these English princesses I guess we could go for. They're sitting there like they have something to say. Okay, church. Good. Alright, so Turkish provinces have less zeal, but their governors have +1 acumen. Interesting. Okay, I normally would be happy to do this, but I think I want that crusade going. So we're going to say no, because I really want Palestine. The reason I want that is because Palestine gives a valor bonus to Templars, which is a unit we can make by crusading. So, right, the way this typically works is when you have a province that allows a valor bonus for units trained there, most of the time those units are going to come from a building, and you queue up the unit just like any other unit. Knights Templar are a little bit different. I don't know if we have any kicking around, but like basically they just only exist from crusades. Like these cannot be trained normally. You build a chapter house, you queue up a crusade, and maybe some Knights Templar will join you. So the French get them and the English get them. I think that's it. I think the Italians might get Hospitallers. I can't remember. The Germans get probably Teutonic Knights, right? The Spanish and Aragonese get Knights of St. John, right? So Knights of Santiago, which is basically St. John, right? But it's not the Hospitallers, even though they're also sworn to St. John. Anyway, I think just us, the English, and maybe the Sicilians actually get Templars. But I've noticed playing with the Spanish, where if you own Leon, I think it is, gives a bonus to Knights of Santiago. If you build a chapter house there and you get Knights of Santiago, they have more valor than they should based on their command stars, right? So that's telling me that the valor bonus does work for the Crusader orders, which I wasn't sure that it would. So anyway, that's what we want to do. We've got 3 years, 173. The other thing I have to keep in mind is Tripoli is really the ultimate goal here. So in 3 years, I want to have 1,000 florins so that I can start building a keep. And then 8 years after that, I'll want to have, what is it, 2,000? How much does it cost? 2,000 for a castle. And then I'll need 4,000 for the citadel. This is what I need to satisfy the crack de chevalier. So I need 4, 5, 6. I need 7,000 total, just kind of lying around. And I think by the time we get down here, I think the infrastructure will work out so that we can proceed. I don't think money is going to be the problem for us, but I guess we'll see. So let's actually see if we can get an English princess here. Just because this is making me a little bit nervous that we don't have any heirs for our heir yet. But what do we have for units that we could toss into a crusade here if need be? Not a lot. And we are allied with the Germans, right? So that's good. They've taken back Provence. Let's go down to Genoa. Let's see how all of this stuff looks. And I'm interested if anyone has Bulgaria, actually. The reason I'm kind of pushing this is that the Crusade points go away after 1204. Okay, so no, we're not gonna go with that. No. So 2 more years, and then I need to start building a keep. Okay, so they do own Bulgaria, but they're not super strong around here. Okay, we splurged for a church in Toulouse. But Toulouse is only worth a single point. Like, what I should be doing is thinking about how I can get my hands on Aquitaine, even if I lose Toulouse. Because that would then allow me to take it, right? If I could go down from Brittany down here, but I don't... Yeah. It's a little concerning. Let's go ahead and get in a tiny bit of debt. I do want to train some archers. And some hobilars here, just so I can have something to send along with it, some light troops. Because I want to have the seaboard kind of locked down. I want to get Templars in Palestine so I can build a chapter house here and then get them pretty reliably with a +1 valor bonus in the area. Then from there we can crusade to Edessa. Alright, very nice. English are happy to give us a princess. Let's just check the loyalty here. Okay, all of our guys looking good. So yeah, we get Palestine, we build a chapter house, then we can take Edessa, right? I mean, it might be too late by that time, but at least this would be a place... Or what I mean is, it might be too late to get a crusade infrastructure in place here in order to get the points for Edessa before, you know, 1204, because, I don't know. It might be a little overly ambitious, but we could at least get it, and then we're still going to want to use crusades. Like, one thing that I do have my eye on, because this is pretty historical, is Cyprus. It would be nice to have this as a falling back position, especially for when the Mongols arrive in about 100 turns. And this would just be kind of helpful, right, for that. So, anyway, we could make some room for ourselves down there. All right, one more turn, so archers can come down. Very loyal, what are you at? Yeah, see, look at this. Last turn, he was at 4. Or 2 turns ago, he was at 4. I bet he went up 6, and he's going up like 2 or 3 a turn. It's ridiculous. So, unfortunately, he's probably going to die. Like, what is this? Is this 10? It's 9. So, watch this. Next turn or the turn after, he's going to be down to 0. So that's where we have to be a little careful about training units, because when you train units where your king has super high influence like this, the unit's general will be loyal. When you train units where you've got a low influence general or low influence king, then that general's influence will be, or loyalty will be low. So is a problem. All right. Okay, Tripoli fort is completed. We're making 19 florins, but we're going to spend a lot of it on a keep here. I'm really tempted to take time and build a trading post, because that would probably pay for itself relatively quickly. This is making us 99, which means, given that a trading post costs 800, right, within 10 turns, that's, you know, easily making up for itself. So that would probably be somewhat similar in Tripoli, but I think we just want to keep going immediately. Maybe we can just force them out of Palestine, right? They've got some nice farms here, so that could be good. Let's see what Rum and Nicaea look like. Okay, Greece, we decided doesn't look too bad. You're 31. We're starting to lose princesses here. Germans have taken Genoa. Let's go to Tuscany. And we've got our crusade marker. So that actually works out okay. We can send these archers down here, and we can free up an archer unit from here. That's what this is really just all about. It's about making exchanges, right? Okay. We're also going to need to spend money to send this crusade, but Palestine is worth a lot of points. 500. Perfect. If we take a look there, I think it's worth 9 by itself. Yeah. Palestine is worth 9 points. So, you know, I think we want to go for it. And this got us a 3-star Templar general with wonderful piety, great loyalty, and decent acumen. So I'm very happy about that. He's got, you know, some of everything. At least everything you would expect on a crusade. So, yes, you. Okay, not you. We don't want the prince to go. But let's take you. And you know what? We've got an archer that's going to stay here. We've got a Hobelar that's going to stay behind because we're sending the crusade immediately. I'm not waiting around. I guess we're going to go with... yeah, spear unit. Let's just top up the numbers. That's 900 men to start. Oh, it's probably not going to matter. What do these look like again? 100% zeal in Lorraine. 70% zeal. Let's go to... let's see. Burgundy might be better. I think they get more troops and more varied kinds of troops this time. Let's take a slightly different route. Okay, I guess that's fine. Now we're making 183. So, not too much to do. So we're going to be down to like 4665 next turn, right? Because this is costing us 1,000. It hasn't been calculated yet. And then after this, it's going to be a 2,000 job for the castle. All right, they moved a bunch of troops into Burgundy, so hopefully they'll get some good guys. Good. Okay, Byzantine's still in play in central Anatolia, which is, you know, nice to see in the sense that maybe they'll, I don't know, weakening the Turks, you know, that's good. Hopefully they'll let us pass this time. We're not at war. Maybe I could try an alliance. I'd rather not. I'd rather keep myself free to, like, attack them in Cyprus. Okay. Yeah, so they want an alliance. You know, I'm going to wait. Was that a princess? No, it's an emissary. I'm going to wait because maybe they'll send me a princess. Okay, Arthur Dulac, charismatic, that's fine. Adultery is fine. Charitable is fine. Chivalrous. Chivalrous is great on this guy with like 4 or 5 command stars, Lord de Bourbon. Let's check him out a little bit. Yeah, Count of Flanders. Yes. Yes, that's right. 5-star urban militia unit. Let's top him up, actually. He was looking a little light. That's great. Okay. So, right, loyalty is very good across the board. And our crusade made us like 600, 700 men. With some, you know, the usual weird mix. You know, 7 Royal Knights here, 27 Teutonic Sergeants there. We have to go to Tyrolia. Let's bring the princess down to Venice. Yeah, the Italians are probably going to get kicked off the continent here. Very interesting. Okay, Serbia's looking stronger for the Byzantines. That's because it's their border with somebody. Let's go back to Anatolia and up to Trebizond. And his influence is looking fine, too. All right, speaking of, okay, we're still hanging at 9. That's good, I guess. And if he's having any sons, it's not showing up here because, of course, he is not the king. This is the heirs of the current king, which is this guy. So he may be having kids in the background, and we'll know that in a few years when Philippe II dies, and all of these people, you know, are already accounted for. We may see some younger folks. Okay, but yeah, I think I want to save my money. This is going to be just a kind of a tense moment just scraping by economically while the Crusades get out there and hoping nobody attacks us in the homelands. It looks like Aragon just made a big move up into Anjou. We'll see if the English manage to stave that off. We're getting attacked in Antioch. Okay, so the Aragonese are retreating. I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. All right, Antioch is invaded. They're attacking us with 2,000 men. All right, well, let's just make a little quick save here. And again, you know, they've got a decent amount of mix of forces in the second wave. And they've got a 5-star general, Orhan al-Mutassim, leading their first wave. But we've got a 6-star general, Sir Geoffroy Clement. And they've got 1, 2, it looks like 3 horse archers. Really, that's it. 3 foot archers. So this is going to be a more melee-oriented Turkish army, which could be a good thing, brings them to grips with us, but I think also changes this. I think we want to get rid of the ballistas. So I'll just sort through this and I'll see you on the battle map. Alright, so Antioch is at least not going to give any bonuses to those camels that are in the general's unit opposing us. But our army in Antioch is actually looking pretty weak here. We've got a lot of spearmen and urban militia, and this is our frontline stuff. Actually, I should have swapped out these 24 now that I think of it. But we do have some interesting things. A few Vikings, a few Sekeli. We've got, you know, our Royal Knights here. But it's mostly Hobilars. We got some Teutonic Sergeants, which are very high valor. 5 valor each, so hopefully they will do a lot of good work for us. But there are a lot of enemy cav, too. We've got the siege equipment in the very back of the reinforcements, so that means they're never going to appear on the map, which is fine, I guess. But I'm a little concerned about this. The land is also not very good. Although I guess we could fight right here. Yeah, I think this is where we want to make our stand. We've got, let's get our 3... Let's get our guys set up kind of here. We want to be sort of in the trees, I think. The Saracen infantry are going to be a problem, and the real problem is that all of the answers I have to it are also going to have a hard time fighting in the trees, right? So, like, none of these units are going to be awesome against Saracen infantry. But, like, really my cav is what I'm counting on, and they're not going to, you know, the forest is not going to do them any favors either. But we do have some nice sort of archer support here. Hopefully that'll give us the upper hand. And yes, there's all of our archers. Let's get them on engage at will. And we'll get our infantry right up here, maybe. And yeah, I guess that's kind of it. So where do I want the cav to be? I guess we have like 1 unit of Sekeli over here. And all the rest, I think I want them together. Right up here, they're all hidden there on the right. There they go. We should be shooting immediately, and we need to, as soon as they kind of move and commit in a certain direction. Yeah, Armenian heavy cav. Those 3 really good units. So I don't know. This might not be a good one. Because we have to hold out against Saracen infantry, which is, again, really good, with our spears. Alright, they're keeping their Bedouin camels back, so again, I can't, like, sneak cav around necessarily. Well, I could, but I want to wait until their infantry is kind of committed and their cavalry is kind of committed. Alright, order foot soldiers, get out. We're going to have to kind of double team these guys, I think. Alright, all of you guys get in there and get in the back. Alright, and I'll send my cavalry down because they're just kind of milling around. We might be able to take him. Secondly needs to come down too. Alright, get in the rear. We're going out wide. We're going to commit to this unit. They're going to hit us from a bunch of sides, so I'm afraid there goes our cavalry. I should have gone out for the right. Let's get the general out and over to the right. Maybe he can make something happen. There's more Armenian heavy cav. We just don't have enough men. So if this battle goes poorly, yeah. I don't know, man. All right, Saracens are losing. I think we got to stick here. Damn. I think we made the bad decision. To bring our cavalry where we did. Spearmen are not going to hold forever. Teutonics are actually... Dang. Alright. Get them out away from the these Saracens. Can we get them out here? We did manage to rout the Saracen infantry there. Let's smoosh these guys. Throw the general in. Looks like we won on the right, but lost on the center and the left, or at least one of those. Vikings need to come back. Cav needs to help out. Teutonic sergeants running away. We don't have it. We lost it. Yep, that's it. All right. So now the absolute indignity is that we have to do this, and we have to bring on all the reinforcements. Yeah, there we go. Just to get to the end screen, you have to go through the whole cycle. Alright, that was awful. We just queued up a 1,000 gold project in the form of a keep, which is now ruined. That's wasted money for us. And now we're surrounded down in Tripoli. I don't know if it's worth it, right? Like, the numbers of men doesn't necessarily tell you the whole story. This is some loyal, some nobleman, Henri de Neufville. And it's a lot of money, which tells me they're probably a high-value unit, but I don't think we have it. And our king died. That's a very poor timing. We got a couple of princesses becoming spinsters, meaning we lose eyes somewhere in the east, probably. So this crusade, we've got to hope that that works. Okay. So let's just keep marching it along. 1687. We didn't gain anything there. Okay, the Italians are still around. They exist in Austria, so I guess we're going to have to go there. No idea really what the zeal is looking like, except that in Tyrolia it was 50, so that probably explains why we didn't pick up really much or anything. Okay, where's our king? All right, he's Flanders. That's fine. At least it wasn't down here, right? So again, we got to keep an eye on this stuff, because where the king appears when you get a new king is entirely based on how many buildings and upgrades you have in your various provinces. The one with the most is where he's going to appear as the king. And if that's Antioch, well, your homelands are going to be pretty unhappy, because the proximity of a province to the king does affect public order. All right. But fortunately, King Jean has come to the throne with something like 7 influence. Very nice. Foreign powers will fight amongst themselves to be favored with an alliance with you. Great. So hopefully that works. He's got no heirs yet, no kids, just a single princess, a sister Antoinette, who is in Anatolia at the moment. Fortunately, the Turks are under some pressure from the Byzantines. Maybe we do want an alliance with the Byzantines. They can help us take back Antioch. And now the question is, do we go to try to save it? I don't know that we do. Sorry, Jeffrey. Oh, he's here. Damn. And he's going to take precedence over my other generals. Oh, that's too bad. Because he's a good runner, so -3 morale. He doesn't have any other positive morale traits. And he's going to take over in the event of an assault on Tripoli. Geez, we were like halfway through that keep up here too, I think. So we're making a little more money now, actually. Even though Antioch is not making us anything, just losing that many troops has actually helped our economy slightly. Let's just see. Louis Poitevin, I don't know why you're out on your own. A lot of times when you get... Yeah, look at this. So things got shuffled because we had a retreat over here. So we have to do a little bit of work to get things back the way I want them. All right, Jeffrey is actually fairly loyal. And that's okay for now. We could throw everybody at Antioch, but of course I'm worried about just getting counterattacked in Tripoli. And I think we need to let Antioch hang. We're going to get it back, you know, at some point. I don't know if we need to keep it to keep that crusade point, but it's really about getting the crack de Chevalier. And it's really just entirely for bragging points at this point. But we're also doing fairly well in terms of our score. Okay, so Austria, then probably Hungary. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get down to Palestine, by the way. That'll at least force the Turks to, you know, move somewhere else. Let's go to Constantinople. Yep, they're going to assault. I'll just auto-calc that. Okay, the Italians let us through. Very nice. And it's an assault. 200 men versus 1,300. And it's just a fort. If it were something else, like a keep, you know, I might fight it out. But it's just going to be a, you know, a shooting fish in a barrel kind of a thing, right? So we'll just auto-calc that. That's honestly better than I probably would have done myself. So we killed 227 of them. And they pillaged Antioch. Oh, destroying 4 facilities. Wow. Our forces have been pushed from their objective, but inspired by their faith, your people are ready to try again. The Crusade mark has been placed in its base province. Wow. Okay, awesome. Let's do it. All right. No ransom, no ransom. We got a son from our king. Beautiful. Lord of Ypres is lazy. Okay. Stephen of Shaban is loyal. We get a free crusade marker. Wow. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. We'll send down two active crusades. Can we do that? Okay. So we basically got 1,000 florins for free there, which is nice. But we have to resolve that crusade first. Now, we do have a spare marker, and that means if the Pope calls for a crusade against any faction, we could immediately, regardless of the state of our current crusade, we could immediately set out another one. We did pick up another couple hundred men here in Austria, so we have to move to Hungary now. And I don't even see the Emperor of Byzantium. I was, you know, contemplating an alliance. I guess we keep our bishops where they are to keep converting the population. And maybe we should start training up Turcopoles. They're not going to get the valor bonus, but might be nice. Let's take a hard look at our forces here in Tripoli, because we've got 20, 40. So we've got two really solid units of these Teutonic Sergeants. So that's 2 really good units. We've got 2 good units of Royal Knights. That's 4 solid. We've got 2 of these Order Foot Soldiers. That makes up 6. 7 in this Knights Templar. And actually, this is almost a full unit, too, so we could call that 8. Feudal Men-at-Arms. This is like 2/3, but close enough. So let's say 7. 8. Not really going to count the Spearmen just yet. Looking for good stuff. I think we've got enough here to really hold, because we've got like 8 or so really good units. And then we've got enough Spearmen. We've got a lot of archers. They're all here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So, and we've got enough horse archers and various cav that I think we would give them a run for their money this time. Those Saracen infantry are very strong, but we were able to rout them based on, you know, surrounding them. So anyway, I think it's possible. 5 more years, we'll be able to move towards the keep, or the castle rather, in Tripoli, as long as we have some money left over, and we should. At this rate, we should even have enough for the citadel immediately. Okay, just checking loyalties. Yeah, Sir Charles. Okay, he's an ex-prince, but we have to keep an eye on him, because if his secret gets out, that's like -2 or 3 loyalty, and he's an immediate threat. So I want him here for now, just to have a cav unit. The Italians are doing a lot better than I thought up in Franconia. Okay, I'd ruled them out. Beautiful. We can move through Hungary. And somehow the Germans, this must be an amazing campaign. The Italians are in Bohemia, Austria, and attacked Franconia. They may have more to the north. And Hungary is in the middle here. Hungary owns Bavaria. Wow. So the Germans are like shunted to the west, but they do have a corridor down to the Mediterranean, all the way up to the North Sea. And the center and the eastern part of the Holy Roman Empire is being fought over by the Hungarians, the Italians, you know, the Poles probably. But the Germans still have the strongest. Ooh. If I say yes, and then I attack them, does my king lose influence? I'm afraid he might, because my crusade does not have the option of not attacking the Turks, right? Like, it's going to move in. So we're going to say no. All right, there's their Sultan, doing quite well in terms of the influence. Kalawun the First. Byzantine's looking strong, so here goes. What are we up to now? 2298. Okay. So even if they attack us or don't let us pass, we'll probably push them away, because that looks like it's maybe a few hundred. All right, so we'll move into Bulgaria. We'll see what that looks like. Yeah, the Poles go to Silesia. Well, I guess they own that initially. And the English attacking Aquitaine. All right, we are welcome to move through Byzantine land this time. So they didn't like it. So I think what happened is when our first crusade went through, here's the narrative in my head anyway. When our first crusade went through, we sacked Bulgaria, Constantinople, and Nicaea. And that's just something that happens. I'm not sure why. It seems to be kind of random that your crusade will sometimes just loot the province it marches through. That generates money for you, and I don't think it does anything to the infrastructure of the province that you loot. Like, I don't think they lose buildings per se, but it may have an impact on public order, I guess. Not really sure. I know that if you're playing as the Byzantines, you will get messages that the Crusaders are looting your lands, but I don't know exactly what that means. But after that first crusade, when our second crusade arrived, maybe they figured they'd had enough of being looted by Franks, and so they said no thanks, and just retreated because they figured they couldn't take me. And now they're realizing they can't fight, so awesome. We will not have to worry about that. Okay, King of Aragon has died from an illness. It looks like the Aragonese have been kicked out of Aquitaine, so this is where they maybe get a little dangerous. When they owned Aquitaine and were even striking into Anjou and were at this kind of eyeballing match with the English, I felt a little more secure in a way because I felt like they knew where they wanted to go, and they knew they didn't want to stretch their borders or open themselves up by attacking me. Now that they're down to one province, I'm afraid they're going to lash out, and I am weaker than the English. Now that they've lost a king, we'll see if that changes them. Okay, again, the Italians want to ally with me, but we don't share a border yet, so I'm going to say no. Got another daughter. Okay, this looks like a Hungarian name. Sir Melis Syriac. Eloquent. Okay. We lost a couple hundred men moving into Bulgaria. We'll probably lose some in Constantinople. Alright, so she's 34. Zeal here is 17% at 95% orthodoxy. She will probably retire in the next turn, though, so... Alright, maybe I think we're going to just not want to build. We want to have money in the bank for more crusades. Okay, good. They attacked Aquitaine again. Let's see what happens. Alright, it looks like they took it. Yep. So, this is fine, it's going to go back and forth, and it looks like the bulk of their army is there. So, yeah, I mean, they're very vulnerable right now. I could theoretically check them out of Aragon, probably, and pick it up for myself. Of course, that's just going to open up all sorts of problems. Counterattack into Toulouse, maybe from them. Maybe the other factions decide I'm getting too uppity and they don't want to, let me do that. Prince Louis, 4 years old. Okay, our crusade here, yep, 1861, we're losing a few hundred men. So Trebizond, Rum or Armenia, Syria, Palestine. Let's get some light cav, because I think what's going to happen is I think we want the Turco Bulls. We're going to need to support this crusade, I'm afraid. Because if we just look at what they have, 800, so that's 1,600, and another 800 or another 900, so 2,700. That's like 1,000 more than we have-ish. They might stay and fight. And it's a lot of peasants, but they might stay and fight, and we might lose more men on the way, so... Alright, I'm really liking the action over Aquitaine here. It's just back and forth. Wow, alright. English have been excommunicated. I mean, they're my ally. But maybe if there's a rebellion, maybe I could take advantage of something up here. Okay, no alliance with the Almohads. Secret blackmailer. He's loyal enough that maybe that's going to be fine, even if it is uncovered. Oh, he's not. His trait says very loyal. Ooh, okay. Well, we could give somebody a title. This is why it's nice to keep these lying around, so that, like, we could put him off on his own and put him under a stack of the Grand Chamberlain, who is more loyal than he is. All right, yeah, Alfred II, 65 years old, excommunicated. Loyalty is not bad. It's, you know, it's a little weak compared to me, but all right, there's the Emperor. I guess we don't need to worry about that alliance, but just look at this guy, Michael the 8th, 45 years old. Looks like max influence, 8 skulls of dread, 7 stars of command, 7 quills of acumen, great warrior, murderous temper, most eloquent, and this guy is amazing. All right, do we want to go to Armenia or do we want to go to Rum? I think we've looted Rum before. Let's go here. They'll probably just retreat. I really don't want to have to fight on the way to Palestine. All right, loyalty is fine there. We'll just keep training in the fort. And right, we hadn't named a Count of Tripoli. Maybe, well, this guy is a good runner. He actually could be a good governor. Like, he could just be the governor of Tripoli. Because he's got pretty good acumen. Highly educated. This guy might be good too. I think you're already the Count of Flanders, yeah. We'll decide later. Maybe Charles Amiot would be a better option. We'll see if he picks up any traits. So far, nothing. Okay, but yes, first attack of this Third Crusade into Armenia. Byzantines feeling confident enough to go for Khazar. Maybe they already had. A lot of times you see the AI Byzantines expand into, you know, the steppes around the Black Sea. Very good. We will not need to fight for Armenia. We don't conquer it. We don't get any loot, but at least we can kind of pass around it. Lord de Bourbon is a gentle knight. Great for morale. Not good for governors, but that's okay. And argumentative, +1 dread, +2 valor. Really nice. I might want to make him actually the governor, if only to keep him on my good side. Because a high dread governor, especially a guy with royal blood, could be a candidate for civil war. So that gets us a little bit more money. 1,600 men here. Maybe we can get them out of Syria. Maybe they will... This is the tough moment because I'm very tempted to send some forces from Tripoli to Syria just to intimidate them away. Because they could send these 2 stacks to support, or one of them, right? Or even forces from Rum. But the fact that they're still at war with the Byzantines, I think I'm going to count on that. We can send a few troops, maybe. Like, this is a good stack. This is stuff like I'm not really counting on. And these guys I'm not really counting on either. So just for the numbers, maybe we do that. And then hopefully that'll scare away any troops and they just withdraw. Okay, Tripoli finished the keep and we got to go for the castle. I don't know if I probably missed that like 2 turns ago. But we still got plenty of time. We need to do that before 1200. Yes, 1200. So we've got 58 years. So what does that mean? 12 years for this and 16, I think it is. Yep, so 12 plus 16 is 28. Yeah, I think the Aragonese are recognizing it's like their last gasp. So they're throwing everything in to these attacks, but I think ultimately it's not going to work out for them. The English already got the slap down from the Pope, so they're already excommunicated. They don't really have any incentive to stop now. But honestly, it also seems like the English don't really want to conquer Aragon. They just want Aquitaine. which they've owned since the beginning of the game. And fortunately here, we have successfully bluffed them. Turbulent priest slain, Thomas Becket. Slain by the king's men. Although dreadful mistake, this murder has weakened the king's influence and strengthened the position of the Catholic Church in all English provinces. So this is a double whammy for the English. Just excommunicated a couple of years ago, I think. And if they have the same king, which they may not, he may have died of old age. But if they're still excommunicated, now the proportion of Catholicism in their provinces, I think, is going to be hurting the public order there. And the negative influence is, of course, always bad. Nice. Secret bad temper is actually just completely good. And materialist is also nice. We've got Syria. So now, Sultan Al-Adil I, 38-year-old, 3 influence, natural leader, pride, very charitable. He looks like a guy who just wants to lead a peaceful existence on his throne with his harem. And, you know, he can do that. He can have that peaceful existence if he backs off. So I think I'm going to go ahead and send all these guys right down here along with the crusade. Yeah, let's do this. And even what is this? Geoffrey Clement, the good runner, right? We'll send him along too. So this is 2,400. It's still fewer men than they have, but hopefully they will just withdraw. And we will go with some troops here just to stave off interest from the Turks. And at least if we can hold Palestine, Tripoli will be secure from the south. All right, yes, we do want to check public order or loyalty of the province because Brittany had a famine. So that loyalty is like, feels like it's 20 points lower than it should be. I want to say it was like 130 or so. Okay, King John II, max influence, and his son is 7, and he's got another newborn, Prince Charles. Okay, and then we'll be ready for a follow-up crusade. And that's going to, I think, have to be to Antioch. Actually, you know, because I was thinking we could use that marker however we want. I think... Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe we can do whatever we want with this marker. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. We got it. Crusade province taken. All right. Another son, but another famine, this time in Toulouse. Lord Poitevin. Oh, good. He's most charitable. I think this is the guy we just gave the lordship. And he had some bad traits, I think. Nice. 9 points for taking Palestine. Yeah, Lord Poitevin, Count of Tripoli, secret bad temper, but most charitable. So that's actually quite nice. All right, Palestine. Let's get a fort here, and we've kept the farms. We've also kept the horse breeder. Now, we can't here make Turcopoles like we can at a horse breeder in Tripoli, which is a bit unfortunate. But if we get a fort, maybe then we can get Hobilars, right? We should. We've also got the watchtower, which is very, very nice. All right, I think what I want to do now, though, is try for that ceasefire with the Egyptians. Because we've got what we want from them. I don't care about Arabia or Sinai. And if they're going to play nice, I would love a passive trading partner. And let's see, crusade. I could crusade against Aquitaine. Ho, 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 ho. Why? It cost 1,000. I mean, I'm guessing it's because they're excommunicated. Yeah, currently excommunicated. Their king is 68, so that won't last long. Once he dies, the excommunication dies with him. Like, we could crusade here Is that one of my homelands now? It is. That's my ally, though. Part of me would love to do this, but I don't think I'm strong enough. This looks like a lot of crap, but let me just gesture to what I have. It's not much better. It's, in fact, exactly the same, but worse, because they have Fearedmen, which is just a better Spearman units. They get some Malicious Sergeants. They got more stuff, just more numbers. These Fearedmen are really, they're not just Spearmen. That would allow me, if I did take this eventually, it would allow me to get, at least contiguity between Brittany and Toulouse. And it would open up a war, right? So I could, grab back, Anjou and Normandy over the course of that war with the English. And that would be real nice. But that costs 1,000. What does Antioch cost? 750. Now we are losing 94. Let me think about this. Oh, come on, get out of here. All right, you want to get this guy. There. The last guy, if they're equal, like if they're the same unit and you want one to be in charge, it's the last guy who gets dropped on top who gets gets the ownership. So are we ready? $10 years for the castle to finish. And then we need to spend, I think it's just 4,000. Yeah, 4,000 for the Citadel. So, I think strategically, this would be the better move. There are some downsides. The downside is that we're dealing with currently a 1 influence king. Now, that is only temporary because of the weird bug where it keeps increasing, and the devs didn't make a cutoff point at 10. They just said it keeps increasing, and when it increases to 10, it increases on to 0, right? But that's part of it. We would lose some influence for attacking our ally, and I am worried about how that's going to open up our relationship with our neighbors. Because, again, I really think this game is pretty sensitive to how you play, which is really interesting. If you start conquering stuff in your neighborhood, other people take notice, and they see you as a threat, quite reasonably. Now no one cares what I'm doing, because I'm kind of pathetic, but I've got enough, I guess, plausible forces, maybe, and these guys are already at war, and these guys are already at war with the Italians, that it's making me look like not the most attractive target at the moment. That may change down in Aquitaine. But if I'm going to crusade anywhere, I'd rather it be here than here because, the English are an ally currently. And I just don't have troops with the kind of experience or quality up here that I would want to open up a war with the English. I don't know, maybe they've got nothing in Mercia, Wales, Northumbria, and Scotland, but I've got to think that they could have some troops that they just send down to Flanders and then boom, So I think we go for Antioch. We try to drive out the Turks. We could go for Edessa, I guess, instead, but 750. Let's see what that crusade looks like. We're not sending anything with it this time. Ooh, it's just Templars and Order foot soldiers. That's all right. We've got... let's go north this time, because I think the Zeal... I mean, this is a lot of guys, but they're all kind of lame. Tripoli... Okay, all right. It does not have an inn. We can get an inn in Palestine once the fort is completed. Yeah, so after the famine, this jumped up like 30 or 40 points. Public order. So, yeah, I think we go for Antioch. We get an inn going in Palestine, keep it kind of low tier for a little while, take Antioch back, and that's the story of our 4th crusade. All right. Yep, Germans let us through, and the King of England has died, and the excommunication is over. Okay, the Egyptians are playing hardball now, not interested in a ceasefire. I'm just going to keep trying. Because at some point, I've got to think that they would get over it. We're kind of vulnerable in both of these places right now. That's the fun, again, of playing a crusading faction. You try to establish your footprint. If I can get a ceasefire here, then I would feel happy taking a stack or so and maybe doing a preemptive strike into Syria. But let's see. What are we working with here in Lorraine? 500 men? All right, not a bad little upgrade from what we started with, considering we gave them nothing. Italians have Franconia. So it looked like the English brought a bunch of troops down by ship. Whoa. All right, assassins are out. So this is just an emissary, but that is annoying. This is the guy we used to get the marriage for our current king. So that is going to set us back slightly. Rejected ceasefire attempt by the English. Murderous temper on Lord Poitevin, and he's a blackmailer. That's pretty bad timing. Yep, 3. Okay, so we need to now play with the title. Grand Chamberlain. All right, his influence is eking up, as I suspected. All right, 3. What does it look like if we just get rid of him? I might just risk this. We just leave him off to the side here, and maybe even I train another Hobbler unit. Let's just get that emissary back. It's going to be digging into our funds. But yeah, English back in the fold now. Catholic, no longer excommunicant. All right, 913. Not the best. We got some mounted crossbowmen, though, which is nice. Some swordsmen. So hopefully we can move through more Byzantine territory and then just, you know, hit Antioch as our first Turkish province that we hit. A German crusade. All right, so we'll get an announcement about that in a second. Okay. Palestine invaded. Sultan al-Adil, who is such a coward, is now attacking us. Slightly outnumbers us, about 100 men. But I think this battle is going to have to wait for the next episode. We'll get this set up, and this is going to be our first battle in actually, like, desert territory. He's got a lot of camels, which are going to get a bonus there. I think this counts as desert. And at any rate, there's no trees. We're going to have to, you know, pull this together with our own general who has his own demons, so to speak, right? This is the guy who was unable to hold it together in the battle for Antioch and had to flee the field, unfortunately picking up rumors about his courage. That means everyone here has -3 morale. We're going to hope that his high command skill makes up for that, and maybe he can, I don't know, pick up a trait that, you know, stands him in better stead in the future. But anyway, thanks for watching. We're going to look forward to a big clash for Palestine in the next episode. See you then.